Everybody, this is Yin Yang with Morsels of a Thought number 1611 from California, broadcasting to you early in the morning at 6:10 a.m. my time. I do the 10 minutes after the hour because I used to go to classes that way, 10 minutes after the hour, and it would end on the hour, but we're not ending on the hour. We're going to go short. So we're going to go a short way, and we are going to do this every day. I do this every day at 1611 times this morning consecutively. I haven't taken holidays. It's not that taxing, so that way I can keep on doing it. Keep that in secret and keep that in mind. And today we have a continued preview of the book Millennial Samurai, Book 1, A Mindset for the 21st Century by George J. Chanos, former Nevada Attorney General. He has many ideas about how we are going to be hit with a tsunami of AI, and we are going to become humans that are a totally different kind of being than we used to be. So this book is nuts. I've been looking at it and I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I have been seeing so many interesting topics that I think we have to look at this. I'm going to put this on a different table. Okay. Let's start. Number chapter 15, Life Isn't Fair. Okay. Life is not fair. Get used to it. And that's by Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, philanthropist. Okay. Now, George J. Chanos says, throughout our lives, we are taught to be fair. We are taught to share and told not to lie, cheat, or steal. The games we play have rules that are designed to create fairness. Many of our laws and traditions are built upon principles of fairness. This is how the world should be. Unfortunately, things are not always as they should be. Life isn't a game, and there are no guarantees. Things don't always work out the way we would like, and not everyone plays fair. Some people don't care about you, your rules, or your opinions. As you make your way through life, you are certain to come into contact with some of these people. Some will lie, cheat, and or steal. Avoid these people while remaining alert to their existence, and by all means don't follow their lead. In the long run, things won't work out for these people. Choices have consequences, and if you lack character, you will ultimately live a very empty, lonely, and miserable life. Cowards make this choice. They fear failure, and their fear drives them to succeed at all costs. That's not success. I have to give you an example. I know somebody that I got to see on their deathbed. Eventually, they died alone, and because of COVID, they died alone, but their face was frozen in a sign of fear and loneliness. It could not be redone by the funeral parlorist, and you can see that some people will die that way, unfortunately speaking. Okay, back to the author. To achieve true success, you must accept the world for what it is while working to make it what it should be. And while striving for fairness, accept occasional unfairness and disappointment as a natural and inevitable consequence of life. In other words, life isn't fair, but you should be. I know that's not fair. Then we have oh, we got that one. Okay. Neuroplasticity. I want to read this again. I think I've read it. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to form new connections and pathways and how its circuits are wired. Neuroplasticity is a new term used to describe the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life. For many decades, it was thought that the brain was not a non-renewable organ, that we are born with a fixed amount of brain cells and they slowly die as we age, regardless of what we do. This theory is now widely discredited. We now know that the human brain has the ability to form new connections and pathways and change how its circuits are wired. Different brain pathways form and fall dormant, are created and discarded according to our experiences. When we learn something new, we create new connections between our neurons. We rewire our brains to adapt to new circumstances. This happens on a daily basis, and we can encourage and stimulate this process. The relation between neuroplasticity and learning is easy to understand. When we learn, we form new pathways in the brain. Each new lesson has the potential to connect new neurons and change our brain's wiring and operation. In a famous example, research showed that the part of the brain involved in navigation is larger in London cab drivers who spend their adult lives finding their way around the city. Other significant examples would be learning a new language or a musical instrument, both of which profoundly rewire the connections in our brains. A person with a growth mindset believes that he or she can get smarter, better, or more skilled at something through sustained effort, which is exactly what neuroplasticity tells us. Have you ever driven to your house on autopilot without thinking about where you're going? That's neuroplasticity in its simplest form. Over time, your brain has learned to get how to get home without continuous conscious thought, just as it has learned how to breathe without continued conscious thought. Neuro- Neuroplasticity can also help you manage and treat anxiety and depression. It is well established that chronic stress can result in anxiety and depression. Studies have also found that chronic stress inhibits neuroplasticity and adversely impacts certain areas of the brain. One of the formal diagnostic criteria for depression, according to the American Psychiatric Association, APA, is a quote, diminished ability to think or concentrate, end quote. Now, in Morsels of a Thought, we strive to inspire you to have a great day with morsels of a thought of wisdom. We borrow the wisdom from many wise people, and we come every day to give us inspiration. A little inspiration, impart a little wisdom, educate ourselves by reading lots of books, and entertain a little by watching yin yang fumble over words sometimes. So here we are back to Neuroplasticity by George J. Chanos in the Book One's Millennial Samurai, Book One, A Mindset for the 21st Century. The book itself is white. I have paper that is yellow. I have yet to buy more paper because I buy it by the case month to month. I'm sorry it's yellow, but I hope it gives you the idea of what the book is titled. Okay, in neuroplasticity, we continue. Yoga, meditation, and exercise, for example, have been shown to reduce stress. By reducing stress, these activities can actually restore function to areas of the brain that have been impaired by stress. Impaired by stress. Focused attention and challenge are both critical to promoting neuroplasticity. I'll read that again. Focused attention and challenge are both critical to promoting neuroplasticity. Travel and exposure to unique experiences and environments, learning a new language or musical instrument, reading, expanding your vocabulary, creating art, dancing, sleeping, intermittent fasting, mindfulness, and meditation can all promote neuron growth, form new neural connections, and improve overall cognitive function. Essentially, focused attention on new and novel experiences and developing new skills all promote neuroplasticity and sharpen your millennial samurai sword, your mindset for the 21st century. He even talks about intermittent fasting. Look at that. When I started on this particular venture, in making this program work, which I love. Uh, I started out with a class on non-surgical and surgical bariatric patients who have weight issues, and it was started by a doctor named Duxi Vuong, Vuong. He has attended many secret knocks where George J. Chanos has also attended, and he started me off on this, and I have kept going. So this was number 1611. There we are. We broke twice. We took two breaks. In business, be brief. Work is very different from school. School is an academic exercise where the goal may be to gain an in depth understanding of a given topic. The goal may be to gain an in depth understanding of a given subject. Those seeking a degree may spend years studying a topic of interest or their chosen field. In the workplace, decisions are often made with less information than might be included in a term paper. Time is money. Speed to market is often an imperative, and there are few, if any, minimums on the length of any communication. I'm going to read that again because we want it to make sense to people. Time is money. Speed to market is often an imperative, and there are few, if any, minimums on the length of any communication. In my entire career, says George J. Chanos, I can count on one hand the instances when an email, presentation, or report was too short. As a general rule, workplace communications should be no longer than is necessary for the communication to be complete. Here are some general guidelines. Emails, 1 to 5 sentences. Presentations, 10 slides and up to 20 minutes. Reports, 1 to 5 pages. In 1941, Winston Churchill, former British Prime Minister, wrote the following to the First Lord of the Admiralty. Pray state this day on one side of a sheet of paper how the Royal Navy is being adapted to meet the conditions of modern warfare. If one page is sufficient to answer that question, ask yourself why you need more to explain your position. Oh, wow. Okay, so we'll go to Parenting 101. Parenting 101, page 185. No man should bring children into the world who is unwilling to persevere to the end in their nurture and education. That's by Plato, a Greek philosopher. I'll tell you something. Yin Yang was a little girl, and at 10 years old said, "It would be a sin for me to bring a child into the world that I myself couldn't raise." Blah, blah, blah. Think about that. I must have channeled Plato when I was 10 years old. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. But thinking like that means that we don't overpopulate the world, we don't overuse the resources, and we are responsible for the children and uh, teach them charity, teach them all kinds of good things that poor, poor, poor adopted children may or may not get. So, yeah. Okay, so George J. Chanos says research shows that the architecture of our brain is developed by our early interactions with parents and caregivers. 80% of the connections between the neurons in our brains develop after birth. When babies observe another person, their own neurons respond by firing. These responsive neurons are referred to as mirror neurons. We learn in part through observation. We also learn by mirroring and mimicking the behavior of others. Enhancing your baby's brain development requires social interaction. Playing with babies, reading to them, talking to them, and holding them enhances the learning process. All kinds of things they tell you these days. They tell you holding the baby's spine by the base of the spine helps develop their sense of nurture or feel nurture. They're being nurtured. Um, Go back to the book. According to J. Kevin Nugent, PhD, director of the Brazelton Institute at Boston's Children's Hospital, nothing is a substitute for relationship building and the exchange of tactile and verbal interactions with a caregiver. That's what makes the difference in a baby's brain development. Eh, what your baby does with his or her brain is that they're going to be good at what your baby does with his or her brain is what they are going to be good at. If you read to them, they will develop an increased interest in and an increased aptitude for reading. I'm going to pause here to mention an example of my own example. I've never had children, so I happen to remember a lot of things from when I was a child. My caregiver put a book on the sofa. And I got to sit on the sofa. I climbed onto the sofa. My caregiver was reading a newspaper. So when the caregiver read the newspaper and held it like this, I took the big book that he had placed there, I'm sure he had placed it there, and went like this. And then he crossed his leg. So I crossed my leg in the gentleman's fashion. And I put the book on, as he put his newspaper on his knee, I put my book on my knee. And as he went like this, I went like this. After dinner, we did the same thing. My mother sat down next to my caregiver. And as I was doing this, and he flipped a page, so I flipped a page and I watched him and he went up and down, and so I went up and down, and then he went to the other side, so I went to the other side. My mother said to the caregiver, "She's learning from you." That was very interesting to me. I recall the book showing up magically on the, it was Richard Scarry's word book, as I recall. It was a big book for a child to read. I mean, large dimension wise. Okay. George J. Chanos says, by exposing your child to multiple activities and multiple stimuli, you will increase and strengthen the connections between the neurons in their brain. According to Nicole Letourneau, author of What Kind of Parent Am I?, toxic stressors such as a mother's depression, exposure to family violence, or a parent's addiction can indirectly reduce a baby's cognitive capacities. When babies are exposed to stressors, their cortisol levels increase. Too much cortisol can be neurotoxic. Brains of babies raised in stressful environments have been shown to be smaller and less well developed. Enhancing your baby's brain development requires that you provide a safe, secure, and stress free environment. It requires that you introduce and expose them to all that you can. Ignoring a crying baby can negatively affect their brain development, creating changes in the brain similar to those found in depressed adults. It can release it can increase the release of adrenaline and cortisol, which can suppress the brain's development and the functioning of the immune system. These early changes in the brain can adversely affect a child's intellectual, social, and emotional development and can have a profound impact on how they function as adults. Read to your baby. Make their surroundings playful and colorful. Get on the floor and play with them. Kiss them, hug them, sing to them, play music for them. Give them lots of love and attention. Introduce them to new and varied textures, colors, sounds, tastes, and sensations. Provide them with a safe and secure place to play, one that allows them to explore the environment around them. These are the best things you can do to enhance your child's brain development and prepare them for their future. The following is an overview of issues to consider during your child's development. Bullet point. Touch is the first form of communication. Hug and kiss your child. Hold them and carry them. Touch and play with their hands and feet. Smile and use a comforting tone and welcoming body language when you communicate. Respond to baby talk with conversation. It will assist with the development of your child's language skills. Read to your child as often as possible. Provide your child with a safe, stress-free, comforting, and secure environment. And notice that he used the word welcoming. So you're telling your child, welcome to the world. Bullet point 2. Give your child your complete and mindful attention whenever possible. Help your child use words to express their emotions. Use your words, use your words. Laugh and play with your child. Read to your child as often as possible. Show them how things work. Introduce them to as many new things as possible. Give them age-appropriate puzzles to solve. Find educational videos that they can watch on YouTube. Take them outside and expose them to nature, including the rain and snow. Spend mornings or afternoons on walks or in parks. Take them to plays, movies, and museums. Try to give them a wealth of experience that costs little or nothing. Bullet point 3. As your child begins to mature, make time to talk to your child in a respectful way that encourages development and maturity. Listen attentively to what your child is saying and repeat it back to them in a more articulate and mature manner. This is important. Allow your child to have some input into family decisions. Laugh and engage in activities with your child. Lead by example. Continue to enrich your child's life and development with as many experiences as possible. Encourage them to learn a second language and to play a musical instrument. Introduce them to music and art. Provide them with good behavioral examples. Bullet point 4. As your child moves into their teen years, continue to talk with your child and begin discussing more significant social and political issues. Learn more about their friends. Have their friends over to your home and make them feel welcome. Show respect for their opinions. Listen attentively and mindfully to what they are saying. Respect their privacy and keep their confidences unless you have a compelling reason not to do so, like substance abuse, mental illness, or criminality. Trusting your teen will encourage them to confide in you. Let them know that they can always confide in you, and when they do everything you can to maintain their trust and confidence. This is so hard in adoptees, I think. Of course, I'm not somebody experienced, so I shouldn't say anything. George J. Chanos continues, if you can't, as Plato said, quote, persevere to the end in their nurture and education, end quote, then wait until you can before having children. And if you already have children, it's never too late to be a good parent. Parenting 101, this was. That is so keen, cool. I think that when it talks about your brain and the child's brain, we actually improve our brains while we're improving the child's brains. So it's a win-win. All right. So in business, be brief. I have gone through this. I gotta mark these things now because I don't want to accidentally repeat something that we have said before. A M.O.AT career test. I'm gonna do that one next time. Okay, so we are going to talk to you later. This was a sneak preview into George J. Chanos's book. This is, uh, anyway, so this book, it's like, I'm going to use this forever, you know? It's got so many, so many, so many. It's like better than, it's got dictionary references for certain concepts. It's like a dictionary. And I think that we're going to stay on this book on Mondays eventually. So, okay, I'll talk to you again later. Hello. I think I saw Liz, good morning. Good morning, John Clark. Good morning, George Chanos. Good morning, everybody who comes here, and thank you for coming. Talk to you later. Okay, old Kinderhook.